The quickest way to get set up with the Modern Recipe Index, instead of building it yourself, is just to use our pre-built function. So under the Feast plugin, you'll go to the Setup tab, and this will show you whether you have a bunch of things set up. Now, the Modern homepage and the Modern Recipe Index, these we can't really detect these, so this button will always be available. If you just click this, it will create a brand new page. It's a WordPress page, and it will pre-fill it with our layout. There's going to be a couple things that you're going to want to update here. The title, for one thing. So if this is for recipes, you just can put recipes. You can have a travel index. You can have a crafts index. This is very flexible in terms of what it does. Search bar here is just for people who want to use it. The scheduled categories, that's covered elsewhere. We do recommend having this on the recipe index page since it is linked to very frequently. But on the actual page settings, the one thing we are going to recommend is use the full width layout. It just displays the page a little bit better. And what you're going to get here is some just predefined headings and FSCI blocks. So that's the category images block with some suggested layouts. Now, if you don't have to use these, and if you don't have these categories, it's perfectly fine. You can just go in and delete them. I'm hitting the backspace key here, delete them, and then you can go ahead and pick which categories. So if I'm gonna pick out gluten-free, for example, I'm gonna start typing gluten-free, it'll be there. You know, if I do dairy-free, if I have a category, it'll pop up as I'm typing. So all you're gonna do is organize your categories a little bit better than the default, which is just alphabetical. That's not very useful to people. You're gonna break it down by holiday, by dessert, whatever makes sense for your audience. So this isn't something we can necessarily guide you on. You have to figure that out for your audience, but you can also replicate these. So if you wanna add another section, you can highlight them. I did a shift click here, and if you go to duplicate, it'll just copy this. And it did lose that when I did that. If you want to insert an FSCI block, you can do a \FSCI, and that will just insert the category images. Again, we don't recommend this layout. This just displays all your categories. You see the missing images here is because we haven't set up images for those. You do want to display it, break them down. We recommend into sections of 4 in a row. So try to group them in that kind of thing. The other thing I'll note here is that a category will not show up if it doesn't have a minimum of 4 posts. So you should not be creating categories without a minimum of 4 posts. If you can't fill a category with 4 posts, you should not be creating it. So if your categories aren't showing up in here, most likely you don't have any posts in the category, and you shouldn't be setting this up. On sites with fewer than 50 recipes, you can ignore all these headings. So I would just literally get rid of this entire thing and stick in a single category index to display all the categories. So we don't recommend against, we recommend against this unless you have very few categories. Then just go ahead and display them all, same thing. You can even go ahead and add a FSRI, so recipe index block, which displays recipes. Put that in there for the sake of just displaying some content on this page. Once your site gets to 100, 200 recipes and it starts getting more complex, that's when you need to break it down. Before that point, it's not important to break that down. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and update this. Make sure you edit the intro here. Tell them a little bit about your site, your users, how they're going to use this, and make sure you use the full width layout on this. You'll go ahead and publish, and then add that to your menu.